Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Healed and Chilled. And today we have yet another awesome and amazing, wonderful special guest. And you guys know how I like to do it here. I like for the guest to have control of the narrative. So, if you would, in your own words, from your own point of view, can you please introduce yourself and we'll dive right into the interview?
Hi, my name is James Collins.
Wonderful. And can you tell us a little bit about who you are and how you became the James Collin you are today?
Okay, I started off in Chicago. Uh, tough streets of Chicago. The West Side. I went to Crane High School and ended up going to ITT for engineering school. My brother gave me this was back in the early 80s, so I'm aging myself. So my brother gave me $100. He was in the Air Force. He joined the Air Force
Mhm.
at 16, 17, I believe.
Oh,
And
wow.
then he sent me $100 because back then you can register and get your Pell Grant. And I enrolled in ITT engineering school. Uh, After finishing engineering school, ITT, I joined the United States Navy, the nuclear Navy, and
Mm,
I was on nuclear ships as a communications officer. Spent like 5 years in the Navy. All the tough things in the streets. I think it like hardened me up for, just dealing with different situations, whether it be, racism or
mm,
dealing with people, dealing with tough people, dealing with kind people. But I learned how to like be kind as well.
mm,
There's a certain amount of toughness you can do, but you can't get everything off toughness. You gotta have some kindness and intellect. So I sort of used that, and I found out that I was pretty smart when I started comparing myself to like white kids, like other
mm,
kids from around the country, and I was like, wow, my mother did something right. So she
mm.
made me read when I was young. I used to read the old Donald Goings books when I was a kid, and like all types of books I could think of. I was hitting the library, but also you had to have that tough posture when you're out in Chicago on the streets, right?
Mm.
Because if you didn't look tough, people would mess with you. But I had a lot of brothers, which was really
Okay.
good. So they didn't let anybody mess with me. So after leaving Chicago, joining the Navy, I was like, this is great. I thought I was going to spend 25, 30 years in the Navy. And then one of my friends came to me. I was up in California, uh, white guy. He was trying to become a SEAL.
Mm.
He liked the SEAL team. And I was like, wow, you like the SEAL team? I said, I would never do that. You got to swim like 20 miles. But he loved it. He was a bodybuilder and he actually gave me the application for the State Department. And I said, boy, I said, I'm really thinking about staying in. And but I said, let me try this out. And they actually called me and said, your resume with your engineering background, your communications in the Navy, satellites, and all the different technology you've been experiencing. They said we'd like to give you an interview to like join the State Department. And I was like,
Wow.
I thought they were kidding. And I was like, really? So I got out the Navy and they followed up.
Mhm.
And just like anybody, I wasn't taking that for granted. I sent out like 100 resumes,
Mm.
and only two came back. This was back in the old days, snail mail.
Oh, you had to like mail the resume?
Yes, there was
Oh,
no internet in
wow.
1988, 89,
Oh,
90.
fair enough.
So I think I was in California and I had this guy do resumes for me. I think he printed out cover letters, resume, and he did like 200 resumes. And I believe I sent all of them out. This was during the end of Reagan. I think Reagan, who was in office? Reagan, I believe. But the thing is, out of all those resumes, I think I got like two or three people that wanted to hire me. It was the State Department, Bendix Aerospace, and AT&T, which my mother told me. She said, you should join the federal government because it's pretty solid. My mother was a state worker for the state of Illinois. And I said, well, the other job is paying a lot of money. They want to send me to Thailand. And
Oh, wow.
she's like, forget that, boy. Get you a job. Get you a real job. So lo and behold, I ended up going with the State Department, and that Bendix Aerospace Company like went bankrupt. So
Oh,
I was like
wow.
happy that my mother chimed in on that.
Yeah.
I was really happy she chimed in on that. But the rest is history. I joined the State Department. It actually helped shape who I am culturally because of all the traveling. I
Mm,
learned a lot about people, culture. I think that's super important for young people to do, to pick up a language. I speak a little French. My wife is a fluent French speaker.
oh,
My kids speaks French. I think it's really important to pick up a language. That's one of the things that I want to narrow in, whether it's Spanish, French, or whatever language you want to pick up, you should pick it up and get a little fluent in it. And
mm,
that really helped that because if you look around the world, most kids on the planet speak another language.
mm.
Probably like 90% of the kids on the planet maybe speak English in their own language or English in
Yeah.
an additional language, so it's important. So that's why I say it helps shape the culture and like just not only do I think I'm a Black American, I also think I'm a man of the world, that I can
Mm,
deal with different situations and understand different dynamics of the world. Um, Technology wise, in terms of leadership, I'm a more of a I'm a I'm a servant leader. I like to serve people.
mm,
I've always felt that way. When I retired from the State Department, I was in talent and I was hiring kids from around the country to join the State Department as engineers. And when I retired, I joined a company called Cornerstone. And then a young
mm,
lady came to me. She said, "You know what? You have so many connections. When you walk the hall, everybody know you." She said, "Why don't you start your own business?" I
mm,
was like, "I never thought of that." And and I was like, "Wow." I said, "Well, I think I may start looking into that." Like, I started my business like 5 years ago, and like
mm,
suddenly, I went to Raytheon and Nightwing and said, "Hey, I'd like to like become a prime of a sub with your company because it's a big company. It's a billion-dollar company."
mm,
And and a lot of this stuff is connections, networking, right? So I knew some of the
mm,
guys. We had worked together overseas in the State Department, and networking is a huge platform for young people. And they're letting people feel that, well, I'm smart enough. I don't need a network. You need a network, no matter how
mm,
smart you are. You need a network. That's what's going to take you there. Because people are going to say, "Oh, I know James. He's a good dude. He's knocking it out the park. Let's give him that contract." You know what I
mm,
mean? So even in promotions, I retired, I went to the highest I can go in the government, and
mm,
all of it was about networking, what I did for myself, how I presented myself, how I behaved around people, not getting angry, controlling temper,
mm,
controlling, always being a support for other people, which is one of the dynamics of like spreading the word. You have to understand that you're the ambassador of your life, and moving that forward is part of your networking um, apparatus. It's all of that come together. It's who you are. So
mm,
that's what I've done my entire career. Uh, 35 years with the federal government, and I'm going on my fifth year with my company.
mm,
My company is called Attucks IT Solutions, and we do engineering service for the federal government and the intelligence community, uh, which I really enjoy. I've never had so much freedom and flexibility. I
mm.
like it, so, and the money is great. So, so I don't know how long I'll be doing it. I just know that I do like I have some like leadership conference sometimes. Right before COVID, we had a few leadership conference. I invited some of the senior leaders from the government, some of the business leaders to talk to other
Mm,
State Department employees about how they should what roles they should take when they retire, what they need to know. I always try to give that feedback and
mm,
with the younger generation, helping them like, hey, these are the kind of classes you need to take, but also at the same time, you need to like get out there, network, get to know people. Even if you're not working, join some type of nonprofit organization that you can share information or even gain knowledge. There's so many things you guys that the young generation have on the internet. They have AI. They can learn. They can
mm.
learn AI. They can learn. They can learn AWS. They can learn everything. I'm talking about if I'd have been in this generation now as a young guy, I'd be master of the universe. I believe.
Period. Period.
But I did all my stuff by like reading and like researching and like And when I learned math, I had to learn it. You know what I mean? I didn't have
Mm,
like a jump on the line and like, as an engineer, you have to like do calculus and all these different things.
mm,
And you had to like know it and learn it and go to people who knew it. And there was no resource repository that you went to like the internet that you just like people split out all this information that you go, oh,
hmm.
that's how you do it. No, this stuff took time.
Yeah, no, that makes total sense. And something that you kept mentioning is the importance of networking. And I think that that is a term that everyone has different definitions for like what it means to network. So first off, when you say networking, sorry, that's my mom calling, so I'll call right back. But
Sorry.
um, so if you can define, according to you, what is networking? And then what's the right way? Because sometimes we're thinking, oh, I'm going to go to this event and I want to meet this person, give them my business card, and then what if they don't reply? So what does networking actually look like practically and done effectively?
So networking is, to me, in my perspective, networking is following up. Okay, so if someone have an event and you say, hey, if you could bring some additional knowledge to that event, and say, hey, I would like to team up with this person to do A, B, and C. You know what I mean? You just like gradually build that rapport. You know what I mean? And like, how can you help me? How can I help you? It can't be. I don't like when people get into networking when it's all about them.
Mm,
It's got to be all about us, everybody. It has to be
mm,
inclusive. You know what I mean? So in order for it to work effectively, like it should work, all of my mentors, we had something in common. Um,
mm,
and I was like, hey, what do you need me to do? And like from your perspective, what do I need to do to be successful? How do I get there? How do you vision that? And will you kind of like monitor my success and I can like continue to talk with you on projects that I'm doing. So I was going through my master's degree, and it was definitely related to the work I was doing in government. And my mentor, I would say, hey, so I'm pushing this initiative. This is a school project, but it's kind of similar to what we're trying to push here. What are your thoughts on this? And that's how I try to stay in the mix with them.
mm,
But a
okay.
lot of people seem to like have like I've noticed a lot of young people have tunnel vision. They like get into what they're doing and just dim. But that's the perfect time when you need the mentor is when you're
Mm,
going through those challenges and when you need that, excuse me, when you need that feedback, whether it be constructive or whatever feedback you get from them, don't take it personally. And
right.
I always took feedback as something that I can grow with. And like
Mm,
if I didn't know it, like, well, this is something I know now, I can grow with this. So basically the big thing about networking is it's not just about you all the time. It's about what you can give to it, what can they provide for you, and how can you grow from it. And like when you're dealing with like and learn other aspects of the person. If you have a mentor, like learn something about the mentor, like what you have in common with them. Just don't be saying that's my mentor. You know what I mean?
right.
Like when I was in government, people used to come out and say, "Hey, James, let's go for a cup of coffee," and they would talk to me, and and I know they'd be tapping my brain about what I know. And then they're like, "Hey, you like playing golf?" Like some of the guys were like, "Let's go to the golf course." It's like I really
Mm,
want to like, they would make an
yeah.
effort. Like, "Hey, do you like to bike ride, or do you like to, they're trying to find out some of the common things that we have in common, right?
Mm,
Just to like, hey, if I elevate myself, like I always try to do, if I elevate myself to someone who is very successful, then perhaps that's going to rub off on me because I can ask them
mm,
questions, see how they got there. So that's what I do. So don't fear successful people. Try to like find some commonality with them, and that so that you can grow and help others grow. And you may not know that you're growing, but when you're growing, that's mean you gain knowledge. You can always remember to give back.
mm,
The people who are, you may see somebody on the job struggling, or you know of course, if they don't want it, you have to move on. Don't waste your time with people who don't want to be helped.
yeah.
That's been my thing forever. But if people are willing to be helped, I'm willing to help them.
Mm,
You always got to reach back and you got to reach up. that's how I look at
Mm,
mentoring. Reaching back and reaching up. It's like the real important aspects of mentoring, and also surrounding yourself with real positive people.
mm,
Uh, and I'm not saying kissing up to anybody, like be around people that you can grow and learn from. Or
yes.
just like when I quick story on the side here. Now I would go back to Chicago and I would meet some of my same friends, and they still good guys, and I love them to death. And they were still talking about rims on their cars, and I was like, "Oh, gee, that's real cool, man." But I would never disrespect it, you know what I mean? Because I know there's
Yeah.
something passionate that they love. So you always got to respect,
Mm.
people. Just got to respect people. And to this day, we're still good friends. They'll call me and go, "Well, I know you all busy, and this." I'm like, "No, no, no, I'm never too busy to talk to
Aw.
you." And we talk, and and I feel myself going back in the past when I talk to him, but that's fine. Sometimes I need that.
Mm.
You know what I mean? Sometimes you need to look in the rearview mirror, but normally I don't look in the rearview mirror, not too much.
Fair.
I try to forge forward.
Very well said. So, what characteristics do you think one shaped your ability to still be grounded? And then what shaped your ability to strive for more? Because sometimes what can happen when people reach the level of success of whatever their definition, it's like, well, I'm here now and I'm up here now, and I don't know about you down there. And
Right,
then
right.
also sometimes it's like even getting to that point when you're coming from adversity and challenges, even being able to say, hey, I want more for myself and doing it. So how were you able to cultivate those two mindsets, or was it something you always just naturally had?
Well, first of all, the strong belief in God.
Mm,
Um, um, with God, you can accomplish anything. Also, I have like my wife and my mother, just like have this personality that like I just keep doing it like forever until I get it. And I don't, it's probably just my character. Everybody
mhm,
has their own.
mhm,
Uh, I'm, I failed a lot, but
mm,
also succeeded a lot.
mm,
Okay. So my thing is don't be afraid to fail. Um, Boy, I failed a lot. And then I was like, wow, I was like, this got to work this time. I'm not gonna do this now.
mm.
And
Yes.
and then people were like, man, that business will never work. They ain't hiring no black people for that stuff. And I
Mm,
was like, watch. And I went in there and I sat down and talked to the board, and they were like, James, we like you, and we know you. We're gonna give you a contract, and
wow.
and like just try it. So what? So what if we fail?
Mm,
So what? Who cares? 5 years from now, I don't even think about any of those failures anymore. I think about the success. So don't
yes.
don't be afraid to fail. Don't be afraid to put yourself out there. If you're
Yeah.
intelligent and you feel that you're intelligent enough to do it, you are.
Mm,
You know what I mean? Go for it. Leading me to do like international business now in Africa.
mm.
So we created
Wow.
another company called Triart to do consulting in Africa with the mining companies.
Wow.
So the sky is the limit.
Mm,
Only thing people could tell you in life is yes or no. People just have to
yes.
remember that.
Mm,
You just gotta remember that. It's just a yes or no answer, and then you move on. Or you come back with some more stuff. Uh,
mhm,
I think, just trusting in God, having some type of belief, whether it's God, Buddha, or Allah, or whoever that God is, I'm speaking to the world here.
mhm,
Whoever that God is, whoever that person you believe in it, and put yourself out there. You know, got integrity and you love yourself, you can put yourself out there and you can accomplish anything you want. So
mm,
you're gonna get some setbacks. There's gonna be some no's and some a lot of there's going to be some yeses too, and preparing yourself for it. Being able to, that's another thing that I talk about is investing in self. You
mm,
know, whether it be investing in skills, leadership skills, technology, investing in the financial market, where you want to
mm,
be in 10 years, 5 years. So I've been doing that my entire career. So the investment stuff help too. And if you want to start a business, if you got a Roth that you can take money out and like get that business spinning, I was fortunate enough that I was able to get money out of a Roth to start my business up. A lot of people don't have
Mm,
that starting up money.
mm,
It could be very costly starting a business up, and that's what people have to look out for. And people just go, "I'm just going
yeah.
to start this business," and then like, how are you going to pay your people? You got five people that's they get you paid salary $150,000 a year,
Mm.
so you got to pay them. The government's late when they pay.
That's actually a really, really good point. And I think a lot of times, especially now with the microwave society we kind of live in, and every time you turn the TV, it's like, oh, start a business, which I think you should. And though there are a lot more challenges that go with starting a business. And
Absolutely.
it's kind of like in social media and things, we're sold just start a business. It's going to be a success in 60 days. You're going to be a millionaire by the end of 3 months
Right,
and
right.
everything's going to be simple. But when you get in there, it's kind of like a boxing match. So
Object.
can you? Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, no, no, you're absolutely right. You spend a lot of time spinning your wheels, and sometimes you spin your wheels and there's no fruits that's been yield to it, and then you start thinking, boy, I'm getting burnt out. So I always tell people like, I started late in life, so if you can start early with business, given this economy now, I think people should start to have like side hustles. It's
Hmm.
like start creating a business. You can have a business for years, and then it can, start being profitable 5, 10 years later. But if you can like, whether it be real estate, create a business for that, or you know, where you can like shelter some tax money, so all kind of things, how do you move money and and be successful while you're working a 9 to 5, you're getting taxed
Mm,
W-2. You can create a side business with your spouse or with whoever you want to create it with, or by yourself, and just say, hey, this is my side business. I do real estate on the weekend. I'm just using real estate as an
mm,
example. You could be doing consulting, cyber consulting. Everybody need all that stuff. So they ask me all the time, hey, how much you charge for cyber consulting? I'm like, boy, if I had the time, I would do that. But some of the stuff I just don't. It's like a lot of stuff going to the side because I don't have. If my staff was big enough, I could like have them do other things, but that's why I'm teaming up with other people who have companies, small
mm,
businesses. Then you learn from them as well. So
mm,
that's part of that networking piece, right? Continue to
mhm,
like team up with people. Don't feel like you're in some type of stovepipe when you're in business. There's other people that want to know what you know, small
mm,
businesses that want to share information. That's all the time I see people come in is like, I don't mind sharing with people, but sometimes people they want you to share everything and they don't have nothing
mm.
to share. I'm not saying that I'm being greedy, but you gotta,
Fair.
like you
Yeah.
gotta use your time wisely, right?
Yep.
Because it's not like I'm not in the government anymore. I had time to do a lot of that. But when you start talking about businesses and sharing information, and you got to be there's got to be a goal somewhere,
Yeah.
a teaming uh, contract or something that we can like yield to. And there's a lot of different things go on when you're out here in the big wild world of corporate business because you got people want to sue you, you got people want to do all
Mm,
kind of things. You just got to protect yourself, and protect your trade craft as well. Uh, don't just give people. You know how much you should be giving people. You know what I mean?
mm.
I don't give people like the trade craft of how my business ran, but I can give them like general information. Unless we want to
Right.
do a teaming agreement, then we can do that. You see what I'm saying?
Hmm.
Because a lot of people just here fishing around so they can like create their own business. And I'm more than happy to help people, but I do want to help myself too.
Mm. Yep.
Yeah. What was I
Absolutely.
able to answer that question for you?
Yes, I think you did a fabulous job on that one.
Thank you.
So my next question is, what are like the top three characteristics that you think determine if someone will be successful in whatever it is, whether it's like a business or they're wanting to get promoted in their job or just trying to get into a space where they are successful? What do you think are the top three characteristics to become a successful version of yourself?
Yeah, I think first and foremost, you got to know your trade craft. Whatever you're doing, you got to know what you're talking about, right?
Mm,
You can't be getting in front of
fair.
people who don't know what the hell you're talking about. If you
True
whether
that.
you're talking about accounting, technology, or whatever you're talking about, you got to know what you're talking about. You got to engage the crowd. You got to make people feel that they trust you. You know, your skills, your competency, all those things they have to trust. Also, you got to be able to speak to that talent.
Mm.
If you can't speak to it, nobody will. You know, I've went through my whole career. Guys do great job on the job, and then they can't even write a narrative of what they did.
Mm.
And I've always been, I guess because I read a lot, I've always been a strong writer. And I found myself like, you know, like when I was in the State Department writing about 50 to 100 evaluations for people, like writing them. And people would like, I would like observe people, what they do, and I could probably write what they were doing. And they were like, how did you know this? And I'm like, because I read the job description and I know what you do. And you didn't go outside of that, or you have already known. But understanding what your job description is and how you perform that job is extremely important, and
Mm.
how to speak to that talent that you bring to the table. Okay, that elevates you right there. And having some corporate knowledge of how to represent yourself. Um,
Mm.
a lot of people lack that, especially minorities. They lack that corporate what's the word I'm looking for?
Etiquette?
It's etiquette, but it's also I had the word on the tip of my tongue. I didn't come back to me, but you have to have that corporate presence. You know what I mean? And a lot of people don't possess that. That's
Mm.
developed throughout your time of being a that's developed throughout your time. And when you become a excellent worker, professional, know how to speak to your work, I think you rise to the level of being more corporate by observing people, by observing how the corporate arena operates. And, you know, some people are walking to a meeting and they think they know it all and they start talking. And that's not corporate. You know what I mean? You have to listen to what they want
Mm.
at the senior level and get to provide them with what they want. It takes time, but it's not something that everybody possess. And it takes time for others to possess it, you know, and
Mm.
some people think they have it and they don't. And when you don't have, you have to understand the expectations and how do people perceive you.
Mm.
You know what I mean? And that's how you move forward with that. And that's where it's always good to assess where you're at. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And having that network would allow you to do that. It really will. And I met people out there that's doing corporate stuff, and I'm talking about they're a disaster when it comes to talking to people at the board and and those are the people you want to like convince them because they're the ones going to pay you.
Oh no.
Yes, because they get up there and they start talking, and after the meeting, I just had this happen. They go, "Man, I'll never do business with that company." I'm like, "Why?" She doesn't know how to speak to it, or he doesn't know how to speak to it. So that's what companies look for. If you can't sit there and like explain what you're going to do and how you're going to
Mm.
do it, and give a quick brief of how you're going to execute it, always be able to write things down and be able to share it, and share it with people and say, "Hey, this is what I'm trying to do." They're trusted friends. This is what I'm trying to do. I got guys that I can run things by and do a white paper, for example, and I'm getting
Hmm.
ready to do a proposal. We get together and like now AI does like so much for you now.
Yeah, it
Like
does.
you just gotta like type it in there, like, "Hey, I'm trying to do this." That's
Yep.
my other friend.
Me too.
That's the other friend on the side. You know, he's
Yes, it
invisible,
is.
but yeah, you know, you see what I'm saying? It's those things that you have to watch. And I think like then you said like also people skill. Um,
Mm.
some people develop it, some people have it, some people born with it, and it's kind of like knowing the right thing to say to the right people. And I've always take this example. I don't want to disrespect anybody, and I don't want to get disrespected either. So we're gonna
Hmm.
talk in a respectful manner,
Mm.
okay? And always, you know, as minorities, you know, we always got to make sure we keep our cool, you know what I mean, and don't get upset and angry about anything.
Hmm.
You know, come in with a calm demeanor. And if you're a professional and you know your trade craft, that's like halfway. But I'm gonna tell
Hmm.
you, people skills is really important.
Good to know.
Hmm.
Good to know. And I definitely agree because, granted, I'm still on my journey
Hmm.
towards expansion and self-development and all that. But
Hmm.
I can say that um, the more the more I do like these podcasts and things, and the more I learn from other people and build those connections, the more you just learn about life, different perspectives, and the more you're able to grow. So having sounding boards, I think, is really important. On the flip side, um, are there three characteristics that will keep you from success?
Yeah, I tell you. Uh, First of all, uh, you got to have the motivation for it,
Mm,
and that positive motivation. And the characteristic that will keep you from it is controlling, not being able to control your temper,
mm,
um, not being able to sit down and thoroughly assess things before speaking to it.
mm,
Um, and like I said, I always go back to the people skill part and knowing your trade craft. If you don't know that, and you're trying to, what business are you trying to get in? IT, if it's trying to be whatever business you're trying to get into, you have to know about it. You have to have real understanding of what's going on in that business. And if you don't know, if you're lacking those skills, people see through that.
mm.
People see through fakeness
Yeah,
really fast. They see through it, and especially professionals, and they're like, "What are we trying to do here? What are we trying to just help somebody?"
right.
So those are the things that will keep you from it, And I reverse that, lack of people skill, lack of lack of networking, those things will hold you back. Um, a lack of proper research,
Mm,
um, and your professionalism, the skills that you bring to the table. Always be in the position of learning. I was technology. I learned about HR. I learned about a lot of things that, I learned about stocks. I learned about investments.
mhm,
You got to be a jack of all trades. And if you're closed-minded about certain things, especially in business, it may come back and bite you.
mm,
I'm not telling you to try to learn everything, but within your scope of work that you're in, try to at least have some type of knowledge about it. You don't have to be the expert, but you have your professional knowledge, but you can
mhm.
learn a little bit about other things that you can be able to speak intelligently about.
Absolutely. And then we are coming up a little bit on the tail end, but I do, of course, have some more questions. But I just want you to know for time's sake. But my next question is, are there like specific things that, like, of course, there, like, we should know our business, we should have a general understanding of financial literacy and all the different things. Are there certain questions, though, that like lets you know, okay, this person's a red flag when it comes to business. Like if they don't know the answer to X, Y, and Z, then you're probably not ready for the next level.
Well, it depends. I don't mind if people don't know everything. Just be honest about it.
Fair. Fair,
Don't sit
fair.
there and tell me, like I built this great thing and you didn't do it. You know what I mean? I'm
Fair
like, well,
enough.
wait a minute, that doesn't jive with what we were talking about. But I think being honest, or like for example, there's some stuff that we do, right? You don't want to talk never bad about yourself,
Mm,
but you always want to say, I'm looking forward to gaining that knowledge, or, soften it
mm,
up a little bit. Say, I'm open to exploring those opportunities. Don't say that, well, I would never do that. you
mm,
know,
okay.
some people get there and they'll just look at you and go, I'll never do that. I'm like, what do you mean you never do that? It's part of the job description.
Oh, wow.
You know what I mean? I'm like, what do you mean you won't do that? If it's in the job description, you're going to do it. But it's like, you know, yeah, that's just that fine line that, when you're dealing with things like that. There's a lot of things that you won't do, but I wouldn't like market myself like that.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, you're kind of marketing yourself too. You're marketing your career. You're
Mm.
professional, so you're out there, you're marketing yourself, you're saying all the best things about you. And one of the hardest things for people to do is brag about themselves.
Mm.
And I became an expert at that. I was like,
Mm.
man, James saved this kid in Nicaragua in this mudslide. You know,
Period.
I didn't, but it'd be like
Oh,
the
oh,
level
but
of that.
still, still.
He just jumped in. But you gotta like market yourself like that. You
Mm.
gotta embellish who you are. If you don't do it, somebody else is gonna do it. I mean, I'm not telling you to lie about it, but I'm telling you like kind of like get out there, gain some skills, and that's hard for young people to be just like, well, I don't want to be saying stuff like that. I'm like, well, you gotta kind of embellish yourself.
Mm.
Market yourself. It's like marketing yourself. You
Mm.
know what I mean? Like I was talking to my son, and he was like, I was in the frat and I did well in college. I'm like, well, what you do in the frat? He said, I helped people when they got drunk, got home. I said, that's leadership.
Mm.
You see what I'm saying?
It is though. It
Right. So
absolutely
you're not
is.
lying. That's
Right.
leadership.
Yeah.
So you help make sure that nobody did anything crazy in the frat house, right? That was oversight. You're making sure
Mm.
the security of that was well done, right? So
Mm.
all these things, it depends on how you word it. So
Wow.
I'm not saying lie about it, but you can find some nice words that you can wrap around anything.
That's true.
Hmm.
That's very true. Well, this has been a riveting conversation. I do have a few more things that I like to do.
Hmm.
But before that, I want to give you a signature round of applause for a great conversation. A
Thank you so
lot,
much.
of
Thank
course,
you.
lots of great wisdom dropped. And I do have three cliche questions that I like to end off with. But before that, this is where I like to switch it around. Did you have any questions for me or anything that you're curious about?
Yeah. So I don't want to start all over with the interview, but I'm just
Go
curious.
ahead.
You know, you came to this area. You was born in you're Washingtonian.
Hmm.
Oh, okay, great, great. And so you created your own business. And what do so you do a lot of I see, do you do things with a lot of things with kids or
Hmm.
oh, okay. Is it
Yeah. Oh,
what age group is it kids?
yeah. So I primarily work with children between 7 and 11 years old.
Oh, that's a
Um,
critical age.
exactly. And it's right when the planting of their personalities and their thoughts start coming out and they start seeing themselves and recognizing that they might not look like the models or they might not look like the people on TV or they might not look like even the game characters and things. So, the main thing that I do right now is I have gaming clubs for children on Roblox. And because Roblox is it's an internet game that can be a little bit dangerous if children are
Of
playing
course.
unattended. And I use Roblox games not only for the clubs but as ways to develop real skills. So actually later today I'm doing my first 6-week public speaking course that is centered around a Roblox game. And so it's a full course for 6 weeks and we're playing the game. So I create fun experiences for children so that they can learn real skills, but they don't really realize that they're learning. So
Mm.
that way, practically, they can go out into the world more confident, have a space where they feel safe, seen, and heard, have a space where no matter if they're, I like to use shapes, like no matter if you're a circle or a square or a cloud or a dust, and whatever you decide to be, you belong in this space and you feel comfortable to grow. And it's been really rewarding. I've seen some children start out like cameras off, not talking at all. I have some children that are on the spectrum and now they're the most talkative because they've been in there for a while. They're like joning on me, like, your outfit was not that cute, Coachana. Like I should have won, and I just allow them to just be themselves, grow, but then also pour that purposeful positivity. And I think I'll say I feel like it takes a village, obviously, to raise a child, but in today's age, the villages are becoming smaller and smaller because we're siloed, the internet, everybody's at home. So I'm a part of the virtual village that can help with the children.
Right. Have you ever thought about taking this abroad, like to Africa or anywhere?
I would love to. It's all online. So right now I have some students in Australia and Korea.
Mm.
But I don't have any students in Africa, but I would love to,
That's my, that would be awesome.
everywhere.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it's super important. Do you have like something that people can donate to your cause or anything of that nature?
I should, but I
You
didn't
don't?
have no, because
Because
I
I know
didn't
a lot
think
of
about
technology
that.
people who are always looking to like give to a cause, and I think this is a really good cause that you're doing.
Oh
I
wow,
just want to
thank
put that
you.
out there. I think that it's really good that you're putting this effort into this, and because you're right, those are the critical age. Once kids become teenagers, they become totally different people. At least they have some
Hmm.
background, some substance with your training. They could be knowledgeable about some things and have some confidence, and love themselves. I think
Yeah.
that you should really consider like some type of donations, um,
Okay.
like especially with technology companies. I know a few out there that probably be willing
Yeah.
to throw your name out there and hit some interviews. And people love people just love. This is what I want to say to you.
Of course.
People in the corporate business love giving back.
Oh wow.
Yes, they love giving back. They feel good when they give back. So like
Hmm.
companies will go out and say, well, like donated 1,000 to, Ayana's, heels, kneels, whatever,
Yeah.
or 1,500,
Yeah,
they
yeah,
love
yeah.
that and they see you doing it for a good cause. You should really consider doing that. And then
Hmm.
I would be happy to float your name around with some clients that I know that,
Okay.
and then also like look at doing things in Africa, or a lot of people take visits to like South Africa, Ghana, and
Hmm.
there's so much. They really love Americans there, and they just want to learn how to speak English well. You know what I mean? And you're very educated, and they would love to see people like you come there. You know what I mean? That with a business.
Oh
What school did
wow.
you go to?
I went to Virginia State.
Virginia State. Okay.
Hmm.
You're originally a Virginia person, or you're just Maryland?
Sorry, I have a little cough. But so I'm originally from Maryland, but then I went to school in Virginia, and then I moved back to Maryland, and then I moved to Smyrna, Georgia, in Atlanta. Then I came back to Maryland, and then I moved to Charlotte, and then I came back to Maryland. So I,
Always coming back.
yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
so my son went to UVA, and I just had a son graduate from George
oh
Mason,
wow.
and my daughter went to school in Brussels. She graduated
Oh
from
wow.
college in Brussels, but we were just family. We were just traveling everywhere. Uh, but yeah, to my the international part is important, and what I like to see you do is get more donations for you, what you're doing, because what
Hmm.
you're doing is super important. It's super
Thank
vital
you.
to our youth. And I grew up in the YMCA. I grew up on social
Hmm.
causes and going to the gym every day because the park would have the free lunches, and not that my mother was anybody was poor, but I took
Right.
advantage of it.
Right.
And then you want kids to like have something that they can like feel proud of or understand better. And that the roadblocks, I think like 90% of kids play that.
Yeah, they
It's really
love
interesting because all over the world they play it.
they love
I've never seen
Roblox.
a game like that that everybody plays it at that
Yeah,
age.
and I think it's because like the more that I work with the children, the more I'm able to obviously get to know them and see what's going on. But like the Roblox games, because it's like a big server that has millions of games and you can create your own games on Roblox. So a lot of the students they have their own games so that they buy into it that way. A lot of the games like Dress to Impress, which is where I do most of the club stuff,
Hmm.
there's lore behind it. So they have like new updates with like customized items and like not customized collectible items. And so
Mm,
it's like whole stories behind these things. And like every time there's a new item, it's like if you could combine, if you think of like baseball cards, like the
right,
allure of that, a regular video game, a social network, it's all of those things wrapped into one app. So the
right.
kids are obsessed. And so yeah, I just want to create that. But I definitely gonna have some other questions for you a little bit later. But before
Let me
that,
ask you something real
yeah,
quick.
yeah, that's what I have to say. You have another question? Go
So,
ahead.
so, so, what you try to do is help them understand the security ramifications of this game, right? Just
Yes.
don't trust, trust but verify. What I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Have fun but verify. Don't go off and meet somebody on your own. And those
Yep.
are the things, the security ramifications around it, and making sure that they stay safe and and communicating with their family on it. What is I was going to let you know that what is your degree in?
So, and before I answer that, I did want to highlight for anyone who's curious too, I do have actual internet safety classes as well that is specifically for internet safety. One that's already like pre-recorded, and two that we play the game and practice it because internet safety is so vital. So even in club, like I don't allow them to share too much details because I just want them to get in the habit of practicing. This is information that you don't share,
Right,
and when we do
right.
have those steps, I rarely have to correct them or be stern. But when it comes to internet safety, then that's when a little bit of bass comes in, just because I really need them to understand the gravity of being safe. But outside of that, I actually had a degree in marketing with a minor in business management. Fun
My
fact.
my daughter has a degree in marketing. She's doing marketing now. My
Oh,
son has a degree in history from UVA. He's doing
oh
marketing.
wow.
And my youngest has a degree in technology. And I don't know what he's going to do. He just got out of college.
Oh,
He's working part-time, but he's waiting on some jobs to come through. But I think he may get into technology as well. But marketing
exciting.
people could do anything because you're like the hype person, you
Right.
know.
And that's why I picked it because I didn't know what I wanted to do, but I knew I wanted to do something creative and something with business. And I felt like marketing, and I'm naturally good at marketing and just like talking and things. And
I can
it
tell.
just turned into this. Thank you.
Hmm.
Well, I would love to talk so much longer, but just for the sake of time and respecting your day to day, and I also have another question I want to ask you offline. So I want to make sure I have time for that.
Okay, great.
But
That's no
my
problem.
three cliche questions. The first one is if you can think of a time when you were younger and you um, wish that you knew one piece of advice, like what's one thing that you know now that really would have helped you back when you needed something or, needed a pick me up?
Maybe patience.
Mm,
I was like shooting from the hip when I was young. I was like, I would do things I wouldn't think it through. I was just,
fair.
and that's why I said I made a lot of mistakes. So it was like, I would just go for it. And then I was like, well, that wasn't too good. Guys have that tendency of doing stuff like that. Guys should do stuff like that. And when I was young, one thing that would have made me better, Jesus, a lot of things would have made me better, but I just kind of like maybe I partied a little too much more than I should have. And I got out the Navy, I was like, well, yeah, I'm so happy. And, maybe I spent more money than I should have been spending. That's always the thing now. You try to warn your kids
Yeah.
about it. But I did, I had to have control and, those instincts of doing things is really important, having control,
Mm,
having the will to say, I don't need to do this right now. You know what I mean? Especially when
mm,
it's like, guys tend to go on this thing when they're in their young 20s. They're like going out, going out, going out, going out, going out, but I wish I'd have like, and I didn't do it too much. I didn't drink. I wasn't a heavy drinker, but I did go out more than I should have been going out. And I wish I could
mm,
have like captured a little bit more of that time and did something different with it.
mm,
The good thing is I love playing basketball. I love bike riding. So some of the things that helped me in my older life, you know, get some type of hobby
mm.
that you can get out. Now I'm like, I love playing golf. Next week I'm going to Florida to play golf. So
Oh, wow.
get something that you can like relax your mind without going out drinking. Or
Mm,
like a lot of the kids don't drink as much now than it was in the
yeah.
old days. They tend to not do as much of that, but also use your time wisely. Try to use
Mm,
it wisely and staying healthy. Staying healthy is important. It starts from a young age and
yep.
it rolls over into now. Some of the certain things that I don't want like eating, that I just can't eat because I'm trying to stay healthy. You
Mm,
know, um, don't like to drink all the time, or like, drink every now and then now. So it's like things like that. So control is a big thing
Mm,
as you move forward in life, and believing in something, like I said,
mm.
God or Buddha or whoever you want to believe in,
Period.
those are very important things to me.
Absolutely, absolutely. And then the second cliche question is if, and for you, it might be a little bit different because of where you are in your career space, but is there any person, place, or organization that you would really like to work with or partner with? Because the internet, just like the universe, it works in mysterious ways. So we have no idea of knowing who will listen to this. So is there any person, place, or organization, if they did hear this, that you would like to work with or partner with?
I used to be in this organization called Junior Achievement, and
Okay.
then they used to get guys to come in, and I was always fascinated by these guys who would come in. We used to, it was in Chicago. I was like 16, 17, and it kind of like helped shape me of like businesses and
Mm,
learning about different things. And people come in and talk, say, "Hey, I'm the communications guy for the state of Illinois." I was like, "Wow, that's a cool job," you know. I was
yeah.
16 years old, and I do. The more, money can't solve everything. You can't like, money is great to have, but I also like giving back to
Mm,
organizations. Like I said, the junior achievement, it was part of the YMCA, and I would love to give back to that
mm,
continuously. Obviously, I like giving back to the church as well. Um,
mm.
I would love to give back to a lot of organizations. If I was a king for a day, I would like put a lot of money out on these pet
Yes.
peeves is like Habitats for Humanity, helping kids over in Africa,
Hmm.
food and water. But from a business perspective, I would like to get more into understanding consulting more,
Mm,
like in whatever consulting could be, technology, mining, whatever that could be, can lead to grow business in other places. We're trying to start another business that can do consulting work. But yeah, it's always that part, you got to like continue to give back. And I
yeah.
think that's essential to what people do. I'm not a politician. People keep asking me, can I run for councilman or run for something? I just don't have the energy to do that. I just think
Fair.
it's just, especially in this day and age, this is too much negativity, and I don't
Yeah.
like the negative.
No, I totally resonate with that.
Hmm.
Totally resonate. All right. And then the last cliche question, it'll be different for you, like I said, just because of where you are in life right now, is can you leave us off with one piece of like one knowledge nugget, one piece of wisdom for the purposes of elevation, like those of who are on that level of like, okay, I'm almost there, but just gotta like reach a little bit further to get that fruit.
Don't give up.
Yes.
I mean, and sometimes you almost get to that point of like getting there, and then
Yeah.
boom,
Almost.
something happens, right? But don't take that as a sign. It's never about you. It's about, the timing always have something to do with it. When people don't accept you, it could be for any reason at all.
Mm,
So never give up. I just, definitely have to understand that just don't give up on process. The process will work. You just gotta continue to
mm,
prepare yourself for it and continue to take those challenges, and don't take no as the absolute stopping point.
mm.
Okay, just keep moving, and keep moving and grooving. I'm being old school now. Keep moving, and whatever you can do to continue to grow yourself and get back on that ladder to move up. Don't just
Mm.
be stagnant. You know.
Yes.
Hmm.
Well, this I took so much from this conversation, and I know anyone who listens, once this is uploaded, will get a lot of knowledge and wisdom as well. So I just wanted to thank you so much for joining, um, and sharing your conversation, your words of wisdom, your encouragement, and your story. And I am just appreciative, and I know that the listeners are as well. So thank you again for joining.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Anytime.
All right, and we'll see you guys again for another episode of Healed and Chilled. Thank you, everyone.